badmouth them. And
Yeah.
just to get off of that, Dale, I just want to say to you that, again, I think I said it, I had gotten the virus too, and then 6 weeks after I got it, I wound up having a major heart issue that they had to give me a neat DVD player, and I have a defibrillator now, so it kind of ended my wrestling career on not on my terms. But I still work. I'm still healthy enough to go do the job in the jail. And I just wanted to say personally, I am so glad you're better. It's a bear. It's a bear. It's a tough thing to get. And, yeah, sir, I'm glad you're still here. I'm glad you're kicking. And, don't worry about that cough. It's going to go away. I guarantee you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm glad you're doing better and hope you get to feeling better as well, Sarge. Thank you for all you do.
God bless you, Sarge, and your family. Great recovery time also for your father-in-law. Amen to that, and amen to your family. God bless you. We will see you soon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
You too, Sarge. Yeah. Sarge is part of the family, guys, here on WWAB. As you can tell, we have a roster of people that mean something and that contribute to society. Sarge, thank you for your service. JC, Michael Rubin, Ghostwriter Taylor, a lot of new viewers coming in here today. Mindy Thilo, thank you for joining us as well. Joel Bateman. Going to shout you guys out. I'm not going to shout out this certain guy over here who deserves 3 plugs, James. But you know what? I will let you know that starting 2021, we are on different platforms. Already we're on Spotify. Catch us on Spotify. Type in WWAB spacebar podcast. Do the same thing for Instagram and Twitter, because right now we have relaunched Instagram and Twitter. And in 2021, we will be very soon on Apple Play, on iTunes, on so many other platforms, including YouTube and a town near you. Why? An aggressive assault is taking place behind the scenes because of you. You guys are the engine that makes us go, and you guys made this all possible, and you can watch us live. Unless you've been sunning a rock, you kind of know where you can catch us. You can watch us every Monday with the preview and the review show, 5 p.m. Eastern Time every Tuesday. Double Dip, Part 1 of the Double Dip. Breaking the Exclamation Reload and Avi Klein and Eastern Part 2 of the Double Dip. Face Value, Build Up Avi Klein, 5:30 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday. Maintaining the Truth, Avi Klein and Paul Roma, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. On Thursday, WWE Hall of Fame, Rocco and Avi Klein for Making Waves, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, noon Hawaii time. On Friday, Podcast with a Purpose, Duke the Dumpster, Mike Trost and Avi Klein for Run to Recovery, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Central. On Saturday, it's a bunch of crooks, criminals, perps, people like Howard Collado who need to be locked up. So does Mickey Doyle. They're also there, along with myself and David Holiday, the man who's going to host the Green Room Saturday night, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, and on Sunday. Do your eyes deceive you? Do you need a new prescription? I don't think so. It's Unmasking the Truth, a hard-hitting podcast with a Patriot that Wilkes and Avi Klein every Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And guys and gals, I know that you were celebrating Christmas. I know it's a festive time. I get it. But what about that gift that you have to return? What about that picture frame that you don't want? I know what's happening. You just went shopping for Mickey the Mooch, and Mickey the Mooch is somebody you don't want to shop for, but you have to do it. Why? Because it's your Christmas burden. You have to shop for that one guy that you don't really tolerate. You have to, even though you don't want to. So you get ahead of the line, and you start telling yourself, man, I've got to return this picture frame I don't want, but there's 95 people ahead of me. And all of a sudden, do you remember that security guard in Walmart? The guy that reached inside his wallet and was able to purchase your silverware because you share these podcasts? He's tapping you on the shoulder right now, and he's telling you, hey, you remember me? And you go, yeah, of course I remember you, man. Merry Christmas to you and yours. You actually bought that piece of silverware for me. Thank you. How can I repay you? Well, guess what? You don't have to repay me. I'm going to repay you, because those podcasts with Del Wilkes, Ray Lloyd, Mike Drosy, Bill DeMott, Don Morocco, everybody that you can imagine except for that guy Avi Klein who I heard wrestled, but oh man, he stunk. Every single one of those guys, I watched their shows, and you know what? They made my life a lot better. I'm going to make your life a lot better. You want to get ahead of that line and return that picture frame? I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because I'm a security guard. I'm a weekend warrior. I can spread this line like Moses spread the Red Sea, and you can go ahead of that line and return that picture frame. That's what I can do for you, because you didn't share podcasts. You didn't share talk shows. You didn't share variety shows. You shared a movement that's going to change everybody's life. We can now hold hands together and say, regardless of our political affiliation, WWAB is there for me, and it'll be there for you as well. Dale, the floor is yours.
That is unbelievable. And, Avi, you talk about sharing and the effect that it's had on what we're doing. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
250, 260, 280, over 300 shares on some of these podcasts. And, I'm a fan. I'm here Sunday night with you as we share this with our listeners and viewers. But throughout the week, man, I watch all these podcasts as much and as often as I can. And you get something new every time. I love Don's. I love Ray's. I love Mike's. I love Paul's. I hope I'm not leaving anybody out. I love all of them. They're great, good entertainment, educational. They're funny. Just a wonderful, wonderful thing we've got going on here at WWAB.
Thank you so much, Del. We started out, guys, with the proverbial donut. Right now, we're at 2.3 million strong, soon 2.4 mil. In only 6 months, less than 6 months, you guys have made that happen. Thank you for that. And again, we do this 7 days. Who does that? Twice on Tuesdays, unedited, unscripted, unfiltered, 90 minutes to 2 hours every single show. And on top of that, it's interactive. We bring you in. We're going to continue doing that. We want to thank Ghostwriter Taylor again, Lucinda, Taekwon, all of you guys for coming in here. Thank you so much. And you know what? I want to thank you guys for sticking with us, because even though there are certain things that happen around us in 2020 that make us sick to our stomach, we rise above that. But there's one topic that has made me sick to my stomach, Del. And we're going to get serious right now. And Michael Anthony, 204 shares already. Thank you for that. Thank you guys for that. We appreciate that wholeheartedly.
Continue to share.
Yeah. Something that made me sick to my stomach is all the people we've lost. And we spoke about it earlier in the broadcast, and there's a topic that we're going to delve into, our main topic. Guys, I'll just let you know what it is. It's the relief bill. We'll get into that in our next segment. But right now, there have been people that we've lost. Some young, some older. You were talking about Danny Hodge. Danny Hodge, I want to pull up a photo, guys. This is amazing. At age 80, 82 if I'm not mistaken, in front of the members of Congress, this is what Danny Hodge did. And of course, Danny Hodge is so much more than a guy who had a gimmick of breaking an apple. But look at this. 80 years old, breaking an apple right there in front of Congress. Isn't that something, Del?
Yeah, it is. And that was Danny's gimmick. When he went to any of the autograph signings, the fan fest type events, anywhere he made a personal appearance in his home state of Oklahoma. I think he was from Perry, Oklahoma. But everywhere he went, folks wanted to see Danny take an apple and bust it down like that and break it open, and he always delivered.
Delving into his career, man, this is a guy that did it all. He boxed, he wrestled. Del, a lot of people seem to consider, and a lot of people who have a lot of credibility seem to consider him to be the most well-rounded pro wrestler and amateur wrestler of all time. Would you agree?
I think a strong case can be made for that. When you look at Danny's resume, his background, what he accomplished, absolutely one of the greatest athletes to ever come out of Oklahoma. And it started with Danny in high school. Sure. He won a state championship, I think, at 166 pounds in high school. Then he went to Oklahoma, where during his career at Oklahoma, Avi, he went 3 years and never lost a match. Back then, freshman athletes could not participate in varsity sports.
Incredible.
But his sophomore, junior, and senior year, 46-0.
Unreal.
36 of those were pins. Of those 46 wins, 36 were pins. There's even rumor that he was never even taken off his feet throughout his collegiate career.
It's incredible.
Back then, that conference is now the Big 12. Back then, it was the Big 7. He was 3 times Big 7 champion at 177 pounds. He was a 3-time All-American NCAA champion at 177 pounds. And in this NCAA tournament, all 3 times that he won the NCAA championship at 177, he did so by pinning his opponent in that last match for the NCAA championship. And then he joined the military. Also in 1958, was an amateur boxer. He won the Golden Glove. So not only was he an NCAA wrestling champ, he was a Golden Glove boxer champ. And he is the only amateur wrestler to ever appear on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And he did so in 1957. And he is such a great amateur athlete and so revered, and we've yet to get into his pro wrestling, that the award that goes to the greatest college wrestler each year, the equivalent of the Heisman Trophy for college football, is called the Danny Hodge Trophy for amateur wrestling. It goes to the best amateur wrestler in college every year, the Danny Hodge.
That's an appropriate honor, obviously, in the name
Absolutely. Of Danny Hodge. Absolutely. When you have the resume and you've done the things Danny's done, you better believe that's appropriate, big time appropriate. And of course, he was also, Avi, a 2-time Olympian. He finished 5th in one of the Olympics, and then the other time he went, he got a silver medal as well. And then, of course, after that, he went into his career as a professional wrestler, and he had a great career there.
You know what? I find it interesting that a lot of the young viewers who learned about Danny Hodge after his passing yesterday on Instagram and Twitter and all these social media platforms, Del, a lot of people don't also realize that Danny Hodge was an amazing humanitarian.
He was.
This guy gave back. This guy gave back all the way until his mid-80s, and you don't really know about someone's legacy until they retire. And his legacy continued to be rich, and he definitely left a lot of people better off when they knew him. So Danny Hodge was also a guy that stood for something.
I tell you, I had the opportunity. We weren't friends, but I had the opportunity to be around Danny and meet Danny on several occasions. And I can honestly tell you, he was one of the nicest, sweetest human beings you've ever met. He was just a prince of a man. There was no ego about Danny, in spite of that resume that we've talked about, in spite of that background where he could have beat his chest and patted himself on the back. He never did. He was just a wonderful, wonderful human being. And an interesting story about his pro wrestling career. I think he started in 1960, and immediately he was put into an angle with Angelo Savaldi, who was a junior heavyweight champ. And of course, Danny was many times the NWA junior heavyweight champ. And he and Angelo had this heated rivalry going on in pro wrestling, this angle they were working. And it was so intense that at a match, when they were facing each other, Danny Hodge's father got so upset of it. He was live there in attendance. He climbed into the ring and stabbed Angelo with a penknife. Danny's dad got arrested, and Angelo had to have 70 stitches to stitch up the wounds that had been created by that penknife that came from Danny Hodge's father. So Danny also kayfabed the business to his dad as well.
And that's something you don't hear very often. You hear about other family members, maybe wives and children, but Danny Hodge also, guys, and here's an article. I just wanted to bring this up. This is exactly what Del Wilkes was talking about. Guys, you can find a lot of informative stuff on the internet. One article I'd like to bring up is this. I'm going to minimize the screen so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about here live. This headline says it all, and this was a headline story back then. Angelo Savaldi. Hodge overpowers Savaldi, retains pro wrestling belt. And if I could look up the year over here, I can't exactly see it. But yeah, there's a whole article about what Del just spoke about over here. This was in front of a capacity crowd at 6,000 at the Stockyards Coliseum on a Friday night. This is the same exact match that Del Wilkes is talking about. And we want to wish the family of Danny Hodge our deepest condolences. 88 years young. Guys, we lost a few people yesterday. Hello, Tammy. Good to hear you there. Rest in peace, Danny.
I want to throw this out real quick, too. Two legendary names in pro wrestling were the ones that trained Danny when he was breaking into the business, Leroy McGurk and Ed Strangler Lewis. Can you imagine that being trained by Ed Strangler Lewis? Yeah.
And for those that don't know Leroy McGurk, guys, before Bill Watts ran Mid-South, McGurk ran Mid-South.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Ed Strangler Lewis. I mean, you're thinking about just a legend in this business. Someone, if you draw the line between pro wrestling in terms of what we see now and what we saw during yesteryear at the turn of the 20th century, Ed Lewis stands right there, right at that line. Incredible.
Yeah, sure does. Yeah, what a career.
Joe, we will talk Brody Lee in a minute, but there's also someone else who passed away. And guys, and I rarely ever get a chance to talk about a sport that I grew up watching ad nauseum, whether it was college, whether it was high school, whether it was the pros. I don't watch it right now for obvious reasons, but we lost somebody else as well. We lost Casey Jones. Casey Jones was the former head coach of the Boston Celtics during the Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish era, but he was also part of a dynasty. This man was part of a Celtic dynasty. He also died at 88 years old, same age as Danny Hodge. He died yesterday as well. He passed on. Casey Jones, guys and gals, was there when Bill Russell, John Havlicek, Bob Cousy, Tommy Heinsohn, Frank Ramsey, the Ultimate Six-Man, Bill Sharman. He was there during that entire run. Sam Jones, can't forget him also. Casey Jones was so accomplished as a player and so beloved by the community that even during some of the tensions that were taking place in the 60s, Casey Jones remained in Boston for a while. Casey Jones had a love for everything Boston. He also coached in Boston as well during, again, the heyday of the Celtics that we remember in the 80s. We want to wish Casey Jones and his family our deepest condolences as well, Del.
Yeah, what a great individual, a great human being. Just like Danny Hodge, just a fine human being, a good man, a decent man, an honorable man. And he was part of those great Celtic dynasties with Red Auerbach when Red was the coach. And then he himself as a coach, part of that dynasty with, like you said, the guys you mentioned, McHale, Parrish, Bird, Dennis Johnson, Danny Ainge.
Yeah.
That's back when, for me, basketball was at its best. I was always a huge Dr.